Vim addictions usually start from watching developer YouTube in your free time, and most people start out innocently enough with a channel like Fireship or maybe Coding with Lewis. It's just funny and it's good news anyway, so you're just watching it to stay ahead. But you hear about Vim from one of these guys, and you think, I'll just type VIM and hit enter and see what all this hype is about. And you're hooked, you can't quit. And I mean, like, you literally cannot quit, because we've all heard the joke, you don't know how to quit yet. And some people in this scenario just rage quit and, well, try to rage quit. They'll restart their computer. And the other half of the people will be compelled by this, and they'll be hooked, and they'll go on to the next level. Level 2 Vim addiction is when you start to watch more developer YouTube. Channels like Ben Awad, or just anyone who's taking development pretty seriously and you're on the technical side of it. And you start seeing these people use VS Code with Vim bindings and moving around without the mouse. So you decide to adopt that yourself. And maybe you put it in IntelliJ, maybe you put it in VS Code, doesn't matter. And maybe your development environment is now getting a little bit more aesthetic. You're putting more work into extensions and setting things up and picking a font and a theme. And you start to have opinions like the Groovebox is a good theme and Nord is a bad theme. But you're still not deep into the cult of Vim yet. You're still using an Electron app. But you start to feel a little bit inadequate towards the end of this phase. At level 3, you've started watching clips of the Primogen, and you start to feel like, man, I'm not a real man. I'm not using command line Vim. So what you do is usually these people, they start off a little bit afraid of a full config. So more commonly, we're seeing people jump right to NeoVim distros like LunarVim, AstroVim, LazyVim. Nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of great development being done, but it's not quite into the deepest folds of it yet. So you pick one of those and you start wrestling around with it a little bit. You get pretty good at all the commands because of which key that those have all got installed. You still don't know the deep Unix like manual commands and everything yet. You don't know all the secret flags that the real 10x developers know, but you're kicking around in there. And usually you're pretty aesthetics focused at this point, and you're installing all the new trendy plugins, and you have Avante, and you have like an alpha dashboard, and you have a Lua line, and you have like an oil file explorer, and you're moving pretty fast, and you've got some cool stuff. Maybe you're using Neovide for the animated cursor, but you're not at the next deep level of Vim obsession yet. At level 4, you start heavily watching the Primogen and other Vim YouTubers just for fun, and you get the idea that you need to build your own config for maximum customization. So you've watched a bunch of tutorials on it, you do it, maybe it's a little weird the first time, but you rewrite it several times. You found all the plugins you like, you found a stable config, maybe you even stop touching it for a while. But a lot of people will come back and they'll start to go even deeper, and they'll start writing little like snippets of Lua that may eventually turn into their own custom published plugins. And all you can really think about is Vim. You're starting to write actually more NVim and Vim script than actual software that other normies could use. Level 5 is the final transcendent state of NeoVim addiction. At this point, you've definitely started watching Luke Smith. You're really weird, and you're using tools like FFmpeg, and you know every single Unix flag you can possibly pass to any utility. You might have a Vim tattoo. You have huge chunks of man pages just memorized. You're doing crazy like recursive triple macros across 20 buffers. You're using ancient archaic Vim script plugins that no one can understand. You're using some weird package manager like Pathogen or Vundle. And then the final form is that you go so far into efficiency, you realize that true happiness doesn't come from a computer, and you completely quit Vim altogether, and you become Catholic, and you move to the country, and you start farming, and you never look back, and YouTube never sees you again.